Greetings there, my friend. Welcome to the fire. Come and take a load off. Got a, interesting story here for you about a player who took things too far. Player goes too far in Interrogation, r/RPG horror stories, posted by Krusty Argonian. Trigger warning. Relatively detailed description of torture, blood/gore. So to preface this, I can typically handle blood and gore, and I've long consumed crime media that describes gruesome death/torture and etc. I'm not one who loves overly violent gore or relishes in this kind of stuff, but I can stomach it. But what transpires next was far beyond even what I can reasonably handle. We will name the problem player Joe. In a game I was DMing, Joe's PC had a vendetta against this elf guy NPC we will name Elf. Joe and the party had tracked Elf down and fought him. They needed to get some information, so they start interrogating Elf. It mostly only starts with some light stuff, punching and etc. But Joe immediately starts taking it to another level. Even after Elf had given all the info he had, Joe decided to take another PC's dagger and start mutilating Elf. He cuts fingers/toes off, slicing into him, and all kinds of stuff. As the DM, I try to gloss over it and move on, because I was getting a little uncomfortable with how much Joe seemed to be relishing this. But Joe continues to give detailed descriptions of what he's doing. He eventually decided to start burning Elf, and when he's beyond the point of even crying out in pain and on the edge of his life, Joe decides to cut off the family jewels and feed it to Elf. At this point, I had long since given up, just hoping Joe would stop. The other PCs had already left in game, and the players looked like they wanted to leave in real life too. At this point, I wasn't DMing. Joe continued to describe how he buried Elf alive, if he even was still alive. It was one of the most uncomfortable and gross moments in all of my D&D life. I felt ashamed to even be at the table with this guy. This wasn't an isolated occurrence either. He made several different characters who went overboard in the barbarism. Anytime I or another DM had an NPC with information, he turned it into a torture scene. And none of the other DMs ever encouraged that kind of play. Joe was disgusting, but our group has since kicked him out for the other many problematic things he's done over the years. Joe is an extreme example, and he was far beyond the pale. But I know certain tables can handle more violence/gore than others. Never assume the table can or wants to deal with excessive amounts of blood/torture/gore. Make sure you talk to your table about boundaries of all forms. TLDR, Joe participated in extremely graphic torture in game that made everyone uncomfortable, and generally relished in torture on a scale comparable to Hannibal Lecter. We don't talk to Joe anymore. Big yikes there. Yeah, I'm actually playing a character in a game right now that is skilled in interrogation techniques and has utilized it in game. But I have also discussed it with my DM ahead of time when it comes to those scenes in the game. First of all, alluding to the possibility of torture can actually be a lot more effective as a tool than the actual act itself. Also, by doing so, you're sparing your fellow gamers at the table. And when the actual deed is being done, just fade to black unless everyone at the table agrees to it ahead of time. Subjecting them to those types of scenes are unconsensual, and you're a total a-hole for doing so. Also, in this instance, I put some of the blame on the DM as well, because they could have very well faded to black during the whole torture scene. And if the player throws a fit, then too bad. No one else wants to sit in on your recreation of the movie Hostel. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. And would you kindly follow the socials posted in the description below. As always, be good, be great, be awesome.